Good morning, Mill Valley, and welcome to MVP. I'm Meg McAfee.
I'm Kirsten Jones.
And I'm Tina Keith.
And today we're talking about this year's Relay for Life. I can start us off.
Take it away.
I think that one of the things I was super glad about with this year's Relay for Life was that our three speakers were very interconnected to our school. So for our opening ceremony, we had Miss Keith speak. Then for our fight back ceremony, we had Mr. Walden. And then for our closing ceremony, we had McKenna Royer, Sienna Suderman, and Maybelle Suderman with Brave Like McKenna. And I just think that was super cool this year that we were able to really bring the Mill Valley community into the ceremonies and really recognize the people who are survivors in our own community.
Absolutely. So, Mrs. Keith, you've been a speaker now for 2 years. What do you feel like, having done the opening this year and then the fight back last year, how would you compare those experiences?
This year was a whole lot easier than last year. I think last year was because it was so close to when I lost my husband. So I'm wishing I could do a role reversal and have done the opening last year and then did a little more at the end on this one. But I feel like just being a little bit further removed, I was able to be more introspective, and it wasn't just based solely on emotion. So I feel like that was a big difference. Sure. I think emotion that first year really got a hold of me. So, but I don't know, maybe that was a good thing at the same time.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, I know both years it meant a lot to people. That was a highlight for a lot of our participants, was getting to hear you speak.
I had several people say things about, I really enjoyed your speech. And then surprisingly, and I don't know if this is a good thing to share or not, I actually didn't even remember what I said as soon as I got home. I went and sat down and didn't even remember at all. But I hope that it was impactful. I'm super proud of the students and all the work that you do, Mrs. Jones. I know it's a huge undertaking with all the organization, and you guys work as a team, and the kids do all the work, and I just think that's absolutely amazing. And so I wasn't telling stories because I do know I mentioned all of you that work on the Relay for Life team, and just the amount of organization that goes into that's impressive. And so for students to be leading that is really cool.
Well, and you've been a good sport. I know that we have been very noisy next door when we've been working on it.
That's all right. My class is usually pretty loud, so no, trust me, I'm good with that.
Well, kind of playing off of that, of it being student-led, Meg, do you feel like, now looking back on having done it for 2 years, do you feel like it is something that you felt like you had full autonomy over as a student?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I know that I speak for all four of us and for Molly and Ellie last year that we felt so supported. And I think one of the things you did really well was not give us necessarily instructions, but just creating a space where we could rebound ideas off of you, and then you presented some of your own ideas too and let us kind of workshop what we wanted. And I think that was really important. And it definitely made such a big impact on us, because then when I looking at the event, we were like, oh my gosh, we really did this.
Yeah, it was
and
you guys.
It's just crazy. And I know that we definitely felt very supported by you, and definitely a good space.
I definitely think people underestimate what all is you guys. It is your vision, it is your execution, it is all you. And I had someone ask me that had never been to a Relay for Life event before, and I was just kind of telling them about it. And they were like, okay, so are the students the players and you're the coach? And I was like, no, they are the coaches, and I am the distant owner of the team that kind of pops in every now and then just to make sure everything is going well. So one of the things I wish people understood more was that it is so student-led, and you guys have just done an incredible job.
Thank you. We definitely do appreciate that. And I think that being student-led also, it means a lot to us about we had like 140 people on committee this year, and so it's just awesome to see like that many people in our school get involved and help us, because like obviously the 4 of us can't do literally everything, and so the support we get from like committee members and from ELTs is really awesome, and it's super cool for us to see somebody buying into like our ideas, and really like supporting us and executing all of that stuff. Yeah.
140 is a lot of students.
I think that's, I agree that I don't think people realize how big it is, because I didn't even realize it until I walked into the gym and I saw all of the participants, all the games, and then I realized you all are not only planning, you're also managing that. And so really, in all honesty, the Relay for Life is such a learning opportunity for your group, not just those of you that do the planning, but even the kids, because, and I'm interested, did you give them a little autonomy in picking games and things like that?
So this was Matthew Tiemann is the teams person, so he organized all of this. He made like a Google Doc, or not a Google Doc, a Google form, and people signed up and picked their games, and like inevitably there's like game overlap, so they had to put their top 5 options, and then he just went down and assigned people hopefully their first games, and if not their first choice, their second choice. And then once games are picked, people don't, like, I don't think people realize that there's so much thought goes into where teams are placed. I think me and Matthew spent like literally an entire day. We were there during seminar, during class time, after school, because you have to place teams that have big games. Okay, they need to go in the end spaces so that their whole game isn't taking up the walkway. And then we have to mark where all the outlets are and make sure that teams need electrical or by the outlets, and so there's not long extension cords running everywhere. And so the most autonomy that they have over their own games is like picking their name and picking the game itself. And then design of the tent is all like teams that sign up. So I think it's a good way for teams to sign up and get to do something that they want to do, and not necessarily like they're getting assigned something, which I think helps students buy into like coming to Relay and signing up to be a team.
Yeah.
Well, and now like hearing you talk about the teams, it reminds me that 140 students were on our planning committee, but then an additional couple hundred signed up to do those games, to run a booth. So that's a significant amount of the student population that somehow wants to be a part of Relay for Life. And I think that is just such a testament to the community here, that there is this buy-in on the cause of what Relay for Life raises money for, and just buy-in on what like the leadership is doing. You know, like how many of your friends and your peers want to support what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that's really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that all 4 of us were definitely really surprised night of about how many people were there, because nothing can really prepare you for that. Like, you talk about it and you go over it and you like quote unquote prepare for it, and then the 4 of us, as Miss Jones requested this of us, that at some point during the night when the public was there, that the 4 of us like walked through all of it together, and we walked through it, and I think that the 4 of us were all very like not overwhelmed, but just very like astonished by like how many people really were there, and it's just really awesome to like see again like the whole Mill Valley community there, and I like by the end of the walkthrough we were all very emotional just seeing like all the people there and like wanting to support Relay for Life, and it's just an awesome thing to see.
So, because I know you gotta get rolling here, 3 very different perspectives, like teacher sponsor for the event, student chair, and then like a community member that's a part of it and hopefully served by it. I'm curious for each of you, if you had to sum up what Relay for Life here at Mill Valley means to you, what your answer would be.
That's a tough one. I think the first word that comes to mind for me is awareness. And I think survivors have we can put a unique spin on it. Being a survivor and being someone who's lost someone fairly recently, I think it's lent itself to really understanding what it is to take care of someone who is undergoing a variety of different kinds of cancers. And a lot of times we only focus on the person that has the cancer, and we don't often think of how it impacts the family and the spouse, the children. I mean, both of my kids were at Mill Valley when I had cancer, and I know that impacted them. And as the person with cancer, I didn't want to impact their lives. So that then meant that I would work all day and then go to the cancer center after work, sit for 3.5 hours and get my chemo, and then had to sign a waiver to drive myself home because they give you liquid Benadryl and you're not supposed to drive. And so I would have to sit there an extra 45 minutes and let it all wear off. But I did not want my family to be impositioned by it. I wanted my kids to have normal high school and things like that as much as possible. And then to experience it on the other side and to see, and then I was gone for most of November and all of December last year. And so looking at it from the other perspective has just been enlightening to me, but hopefully through my story and the story of Mr. Walden and the others who spoke, that it will open everybody's eyes to how much it impacts people that aren't going through cancer. So I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me.
Sure, that's a great point.
I'm going to jump right off that because my word was going to be like impactful and supportive. I think that it's such a great event to show like that cancer really does impact everybody. And I know like if you specifically haven't had cancer or you haven't been a direct caregiver to somebody with cancer, I think that it can sometimes seem like this far off idea that it's just something that's talked about, something you're warned about, but sometimes it's not like a real tangible thing. And I think that this event really helps people realize that like it is a real thing and people need help. They need support. Like you need to show up for people, and being a community for people with cancer and for families who are going through somebody with cancer really is important. And I think that through like the speakers and the survivor dinner, and when the survivors bring their guests and how emotional the survivors are and their guests, the both of them are, I think that it just really shows how much cancer does impact our whole community and how good it is to support those people who are going through that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's well put. I think for me, I would say like when I think of Relay for Life and how unique of a thing that it is here, I would add to both of those things that I feel like it represents a lot of just empowerment. When I think of the cancer fighters, survivors, caregivers, I know through conversations with people in those different situations, and you articulated it so well, Tina, just how potentially isolating it could be. Yet it's everywhere. No one is untouched by it. So to feel the community kind of come together to empower each individual's story with it and to celebrate it and have this massive show of solidarity in that, I think is really beautiful. And just an empowerment of community in general. I think especially these days, I feel like it's so hard to find a collective group organizing together for a mission like this. And so just to see young families, our teachers, our students, like everyone come together for something, for that awareness, for the financial goals, I think just instills in me, I know, a really exciting sense of empowerment of like, look what you can do when you all come together, and you let high school students like run the show. Like I think in other conversations I've had with people, just asking about what it's like to teach high schoolers, because they hear horror stories and they hear about AI and cell phone addictions, and all of those things are real. Like Mrs. Keith and I know that's a reality, but at the same time, when you give students something that they care about and a mission that means something to them, and you give them control, sure, with some guardrails, I don't think you really needed those though, what they're capable of is really, really incredible. So just to get to tell people like, teenagers are fine. Like they are wildly capable, and they can move mountains when they want to.
Absolutely.
So I just think a general sense of just empowerment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good final thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for chatting.
That'll be it for today's episode. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more MVP podcasts coming soon. Thank you, guys.